Hi, I'm Dev. Let's continue what we have learned last time. So I have already logged in into my root account. As you can see, we have set up the MFA, and as of now, we don't have any root access keys, and it is ideal as well that we should not have access keys for the root user. I've created a new user for myself, which is Dev, which we will see later. So we have already checked users group, users, and I think policies. Let's see roles. We'll have a walkthrough of this particular screen or IAM, and then we'll move on to the next service. So roles generally is an identity which we are having, which has some specific permission which we provide to the user. For example, if we have created a role called admin and we attach some permissions to that or policies to that, those policies, whenever we assign that role to any other person, they will automatically have the permissions. Second use for roles as well for some of the services where we need to access from outside, or if some other service are accessing that services, for example, EC2 or Lambda or a lot of other things, then we also need roles to be assigned to that particular permission and then only they can access. As of now, we don't have to create the roles, so I'll not go into it. But if you want more information, always click on this info. The help section here will help panel will open and that will give you more information. Right? Okay. Policies, I'll again touch back again. Let's go to identity providers. Now, identity providers, as I have briefly told last time, they are kind of used where we are using a third party identifications. For example, if you are working in a corporate world, then you all have SSO, right? So those SSO are either used by AD, which is Active Directory. This is a part of Microsoft where it stores all the information about services, users, and maybe devices. So you can connect the Microsoft AD service, and then you can use same to provide login, authentication, and authorization for your users. Another service is OpenID. This is also an authenticator provider. We can say OpenID. It's an open source based OpenID Connect, and it also has a database or users information which you can integrate into your providers. You click on Add Provider, it will give you the information. As of now, I'm just keeping it simple. You don't have to go into that, but you can add different identity providers which you can use for your organization when you're growing big, right? Let's move on next. Account settings we've already seen. This is the place where you need to set up your password settings. I request you to keep a good password, a strong password for all the other users who are joining in your organization or system. Next, we have access reports. Now, access reports are analyzers. For example, if you're a big corporate, you will have thousands of users and you may not be able to manage who all users are having what. And second, the main thing what IAM always asks for or appreciates is the least privilege, the kind of a zero trust policy, which means that we should always give very less and minimal permissions to the users so that there is a less misuse and we have more control over it. So if you would like to create an analysis for the external access, for example, if you're using OpenID or Active Directory, then you may not have to pay for the external access. But if you're using for one user, it will be some charges. These charging may differ, so you just have a look based on your requirement. And if you need, you can just create an analyzer and that will give you the details of which users have used what, when they have used, all those things. Right? This is the report as well, credential report. These all things are not applicable. We need to create the analyzer, then only these things will work. So I'm just moving to the next one. Credential report. This you can download the reports in a CSV format and it will give you a list of all the users. For me, I just have two users. One was my super user, the root user, and one which I created yesterday, and one more which I have for my SCS. So this will just give you the download. I would encourage you to download this, check how the things are going. So apart from these organization activity and service control policies, these are for the organizations. When you are part of the big organization, that's where you need this information or this setup. As of now, it is of no use. Main things what you will be using in IAM is the user group roles, policies, and maybe identity providers if you are growing big and you want to add some external authentication directory, right? I have already touched on the policies, but one thing, again, let's try this Amazon Q. Last time I did share that this is an generative AI from Amazon, which is Amazon Q, but I forgot to give some time or explain this thing. So these are available in two formats. One is free tier, which we are using right now. When you click on the first time, you need to agree to the policies, and then it will be activated for you. And once you do that, let's say if you want to see the policies, so I will just let's say one example. So show me example of JSON doc for the policy. Okay, just a simple one to see that this works very well. If you are stuck somewhere, if you want to get any help, this is a very good way to ask instead of going on Google and all, because this is again provided by AWS. So all the documentation which are in AWS are very well added into the Gen AI. Right. So this is the one which we have already seen, but now it has given a better example. I'll again explain this because this is very much important as per your examination. Plus, if you are working on your own setup or your AWS examination or your own setup, which means cloud, your own cloud or client's cloud, this is very important to understand. So let's go over it one more time. So version is the document, it's like a statement ID or version ID, or I would say the policy ID. This ID can be anything, you can name it whatever you feel good or you remember. Next, we have a set of statements. As you can see here, there are multiple statements. SID is the statement ID. This is one particular statement. These are not multiple, but in that we have multiple things. So SID is the statement ID. Effect says allow or deny. These are the two options available. Actions are the list of actions which you want the resource, whatever resource you add here. On this resource, what all these actions can be done. And there is one more thing for the principal, which I think is not there, but there will be one more element called principal. And in that, you can add either service, your username, or any ARN, or ARN stands for Amazon resource name. So any Amazon resource name you want to give access on that particular thing, you can do that. So this is a basic JSON, but important for your exam. So make sure that whenever there is a asterisk or star at the end, that means for this particular S3 for this bucket, these particular actions are applicable for all, right? Okay. I would also encourage you to go ahead in this document and try different things, because there will be one question based on how the policy or JSON document looks, and there will be a question like, given the statement, is it allowing the services or not? So that will be a good way. Okay. It is always handy for you. So, and I encourage you to always look out for help in this. It's easier instead of going on Google and searching the details, right? Okay. So next is on the screen, the last thing is we need to check the Cloud Shell. Now, Cloud Shell, as I have given a demo, like this is one of the second way. So one way is we are using this one directly. You're logging, you add your password, you add your MFA, and you get access to this. Second is this Cloud Shell, which is directly you need to log in and then you can do. But the other part of this is you can also install this in your local. So that is what we are going to do. Okay, I'll open up my terminal, and so you can follow the official documentation which is there, but as I am on my Mac system and I prefer to use Brew for all the package management tools. And for this, you will find AWS CLI. I haven't installed it yet. I kept it for this particular recording to be happening. So if you search if it is there or not, so we can see that it is there. So what I'll do is I'll do AWS CLI. Sorry, I'll do is Brew install AWS CLI, right? This will take a moment and it will update my local with the AWS CLI. Only difference with this one and the one, meanwhile, I'll show you here. AWS install on Mac. So if you search latest version of CLI, there are different versions for Windows and Linux. I'm not going into that. I'm sure you will be able to install it on your own. So you have to go to the CLI version 2. You click on Mac OS and you can use it. You can first validate if it is there or not, then you can follow this and you can install it. The only difference between this and the one I'm using, I think so, will be here. The name is AWS, which means like if you type AWS in your system, then only it will work. And for me, as I'm using it from Brew, it will be AWS CLI. But these both are same. You can work in a similar fashion. Same way if I go here, if I do AWS version, right? It says the Python version and the details, what all things it is. And if I go in my particular thing, which is done, so instead of AWS, I need to write AWS CLI and version. Oh, my bad. So it will be AWS itself, is it? Let me try that. I was not aware. Yes, it will be like that. Right. So the name same remains same. I wasn't aware. I was doing it for the first time here. So AWS will be remaining as AWS, and you can use the same. Now, in order to use our application, or in order to provide the same access from our system, we need to go to users and in there, and we need to give the access. Now, if you see here, we haven't given the access. The access keys are not yet created. So we can either go to security credentials and create the access like this access key, or on the top also we have an access key. We can create that. So let's do that. I'll just close this for now. So when you click on creating an access key, there are a couple of options which it is asking. I'm not going into detail for now to keep it simple. We just need a CLI access. I click on I understand the above and I'll go to the next one. As and when the need arises, I'll give you the explanation. But for now, as I'm just starting up, let's keep it simple and let's try to complete the tutorial as smoothly as possible. That's my main goal. Okay. So you can download the CSV. This is the first and last time you're seeing this. If you missed it, forgot it, you need to delete it and then regenerate it. So store it in a safe way. If you feel that you don't have any safes, don't download it. You can use it directly and then you can delete and regenerate it. So what I'll do is if I have to access my AWS, let's say, let me open this again and let me type AWS and I think list users. This is the one. Yes. No. So these are all the services which AWS is providing. I think I missed IAM. So it will be AWS IAM list users or user. Yes. So this gave the details of the users which are there in my system. I just quit. Now we try to get the same thing from our CLI, which means one, this is the way where we are accessing our AWS. Now let's see the second one. In order to use that, sorry, my bad. And there, that is gone. I haven't downloaded and that is gone. See, this happens. I was trying to go into my new string, but it took the back button and I just copied the key and forgot to add the password. So that happens. No worries. Let's create another one. I'll close this up so that we have a good visibility. CLI again. As I told you, make sure you guys download it for the first time. So right now what I'll do is access key, we can see it. I'll copy it and I hope I switch my screens. Yes. Okay. So let me get this on the top. Okay. So for this first, we need to do is AWS configure when you're doing it for the first time. Access key, I'll paste it, the access key. I'll take the secret safely now before it goes away. And anyway, I'm going to delete it. So don't copy this. Okay. This is the key. The region name, I am in India, so I'll be using Mumbai, and that is Asia Pacific South 1, and default is fine, right? So now my configuration is done. Now if I do same command, IAM and list users, I should get the same output what we got there, correct? So now now you must have understood that one way is where we are creating the user or accessing our AWS from our CLI from our laptop directly without AWS. And secondly is where we log in into this, we have MFA and then we are creating it, right? So this is done. I'll continue. So now I got two things. I'll just delete it after the recording so you guys don't misuse this, but I hope you got an idea. When we created this, I accidentally it went as a back screen and I lost the access key. So that happens. Make sure you are downloading in when you are having it, but also make sure to delete it whenever you're not using it, right? So now if I go again into CLI and show you, so this is where we are using a Cloud Shell. So there are three things. One is this AWS Web Console. Second is inside the Web Console, we have a Cloud Shell. If you're logged in and if you want to do the actions, depending on the permissions or policies you have, you can do that. Or if you want to have access from your system, you can directly come here from your own system and you can, if you have the access, you can do that. And the third one is SDK. SDK also we will see in future when we are creating any package in Node or Python or PHP or anything. There we will be creating resources directly from our application without Cloud Shell, without AWS CLI or logging into AWS. So that's it for now. So I think IAM thing is done. Now next is we'll move on to the next very important service, which is EC2. Till then, take care and have a great time. See you.